guys, it is Ben, aka the Fuseboxx. It has been a hot minute since I've joined you all, and I wanted to review a book that I've been meaning to review for quite a long time. I meant to do so a lot earlier, but I ended up losing my copy of the book. So I went through the process of reordering, and I finally got a new copy, and I read through it. Very, very good book, by the way, but, just saying that is not really a good review. I like to add critiques, things I think should be improved upon. So, with that little preamble out of the way, I would like to talk with you about Lady Alchemy, Mutus Liber. I have interviewed Martina Markota on this channel before, so we have gotten insights from her, but it's been a hot minute, so in a way, it's sort of like I'm looking at it fresh. A lot of thoughts about it. Well, let's start off with the positives. The art style for this book. Very, very unique. I don't think I've ever seen an art style quite like this. It's like a blend between comic art and old religious art from stained glass window type of artwork. That's kind of a bizarre description, but that's the best way I can put it. It's very different, but it's good, and it definitely fits the theme of this book, because this book is very much a combination of Gnostic Christianity with sort of a John Wick style setting with like a sprinkling of Sailor Moon on top. It follows the story of a burlesque dancer named Lady who starts off trying to become famous and ends up learning about her heritage as a member of the Nephilim, the sons of God and men, and also it chronicles her journey of learning about alchemy and magic and getting acquainted with this, underground spiritual battle happening in the modern world. And there's definitely a lot of subtext you can read from that. I really like the style of the dialogue and the narration. The dialogue is very natural, and the narration has a very poetic quality to it. It evokes a lot of imagery, and it does so eloquently, so I like that. The beginning of the book, when we first meet Lady and when she meets the main antagonist of the book, that was totally solid. The pacing, it works. It all works. There's nothing I could say that would improve upon that. It's tightly written. Now we're gonna get into a few negatives. I always say negatives, but I really mean just kind of critiques that aren't paramount, like they don't affect the quality of the book, but things that I would have done differently. So the thing about the story, after her initial encounter with the main antagonist, she meets sort of her, her Q character, William, who teaches her about alchemy, but he doesn't really teach her that much. She meets him and it's very, very quick. We don't get much of a sense of their relationship. We don't really have a building up to it. It just kind of happens, and we jump from point A to point B to point C, where she goes out, she does her training. It's kind of covered in a little bit of narration, and then she comes back and she's ready for the fight, and I'm like, I don't like that. First of all, I'd like to see more of the character's development. We jump from her in the beginning to her being a fully actualized person. We don't get much about her struggles or journey to get there. We kind of skim over that part. And I understand she's trying to tell kind of a large multi-layered story in one issue. So I guess you got to do a little bit of a trade-off there. But I personally would have liked to see this particular book spread out over maybe a few issues. Have Lady come into becoming Lady Alchemy. Get some training in there, get in some moments where she's struggling, maybe reveal more about her background, growing up, etc., what motivates her more. We get a sense of her motivations from the beginning of the book, but it's kind of spelled out very plainly, and then in the very end, you kind of get the payoff through her narration. I would like to see more of a build-up. That's the best way I can describe that. Very unique use of mystical properties in this book. I don't know much of anything about alchemy. I'm assuming that a lot of what I read in here is very heavy into the study of alchemy. I wouldn't know. I do know about aspects of Gnostic Christianity and Kabbalah, so I definitely saw references to those in here. So she's taking very ancient Catholic and kind of occult ideas and throwing them into a very superhero and almost anime style action book. Very good stuff. I am looking forward to seeing this series continue on. I think it should, because this book is very much an introduction to the character, so I'm assuming there's going to be more after this. But yeah, maybe for future installments, just let's get a little bit more about who she is as a person, her background fleshed out a little bit more, things like that. Maybe, you can even retrospectively do some flashbacks to her time when she's training in the country, just to give us a more complete picture of what's going on. Because it feels like after the first third of the book, it kind of jumps along really fast, and I'd like to see a lot of that just stretched out, spread out a little bit more. But yeah, I give this book definitely an 8 out of 10. Very good stuff. Awesome work, Martina. She has had a long, arduous journey producing this book, and I appreciate she stuck to it. She got it out there, and it's gorgeous. It's a beautiful book, and it's fun. So I recommend everybody back it on Indiegogo. I believe it's still live. And get yourself a copy. Check it out. Thank you so much for joining me once again, ladies and gentlemen. You can find me on Twitter at Knights Outlaw. You can also find me on Instagram at Outlaw Knights. And you can find me on Facebook under my real name, Ben Fuselier, F-U-S-E-L-I-E-R. And don't forget, be sure to hit that like button. Hit the subscribe button. If you didn't like what I had to say, hit the dislike button. Leave me nasty comments. Feed me that attention that I'm craving. I'm on YouTube. Of course I'm an attention whore. It's what it's all about. Go to fundmycomic.com. Back Outlaw Knights issue number 2. We have had a very slow go of it, and I'm hoping we can turn it around because it is too good to pass up. You are going to want this book. And also Lady Alchemy as well, but Outlaw Knights. Just put that in your head first. No offense to anybody. Thank you so much for joining me once again, ladies and gentlemen, and I will talk to you all later.